Unfortunately for Dillian Whyte, it looks like he's going to have to wait another year just to get his shot against WBC champion Deontay Wilder. Now, Deontay Wilder already set himself on facing two guys he already fought, which is a rematch with Luis Ortiz and a rematch with Tyson Fury, right? Now, although it hasn't been confirmed or announced, his rematches with Luis Ortiz or Tyson Fury, that's what he's been saying. And especially like the Luis Ortiz fight, he hasn't announced it yet. It hasn't been announced. So I'm still waiting to see when they're going to announce that fight. But I'm pretty sure eventually we're going to hear breaking news. Deontay Wilder will be facing Luis Ortiz. But if he actually goes through with this, and let's say he fights Luis Ortiz and then Tyson Fury, that's a whole nother year, right? Because he's probably going to fight Luis Ortiz probably somewhere between September, November, but probably September. And if he beats Luis Ortiz, he's not going to fight again. That's going to be his last fight for this year. He's not going to fight again until next year, and that's going to be against Tyson Fury, probably around March or April. And then at that point, then maybe he could fight Dillian Whyte, right? Because it's not like the WBC is forcing Deontay Wilder to immediately fight Dillian Whyte. He has to, or they strip him. That would be like the best case scenario if the WBC did that. Like say Dillian Whyte beats Oscar Veras, and then the WBC came out and said, you know what, we're ordering Deontay Wilder to immediately face Dillian Whyte within the next 6 months. If he doesn't face Dillian Whyte within the next 6 months, he will be stripped of his title. Then that means Deontay Wilder would have to face Dillian Whyte before facing like Tyson Fury. Like he could probably face a still, Luis Ortiz in a rematch, and then if he beats him, he could face like Dillian Whyte in like December or something, right? But I don't see the WBC doing that. The WBC doesn't seem interested in trying to force Deontay Wilder to face Dillian Whyte. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to just let Deontay Wilder do what he wanted to do, and that is fight Luis Ortiz and Tyson Fury. I'm not really complaining about the Tyson Fury or the Luis Ortiz fight that much. I mean, I do think that the first fight was exciting, but I do think that the Tyson Fury fight was exciting as well. But I just think that it's kind of unfair for someone like Dillian Whyte to have to wait, because while he's waiting for until that time, he could lose. What if Dillian Whyte loses? That's the risky thing about this. If Dillian Whyte goes on, let's say he beats Oscar Veras, but then he keeps fighting because he's like, obviously, I'm not going to sit around and wait until Deontay Wilder goes on to fight somebody like Tyson Fury and wait until like mid-2020 to start calling him out and stuff, because he's trying to get paid too. He's trying to make his money, so he's not going to do that. He's going to be fighting other dudes, and that's the thing. When you do that, eventually he might end up losing, and that's the thing. What if he ends up losing before Deontay Wilder gets through both the Luis Ortiz rematch and the Tyson Fury rematch? What if he loses? What if Dillian Whyte loses? Then he could forget fighting Deontay Wilder. So I feel maybe Dillian Whyte should just try and approach a rematch with Anthony Joshua. I think he's better off doing that. Because let's say Andy Ruiz Jr. beats Dillian Whyte again. Andy Ruiz Jr. beats Anthony Joshua again. Let's say he actually does that, and his then Eddie Hearn could have like a Dillian Whyte versus Anthony Joshua fight for like a hometown type of fight, But then again, he won't be a champion. But let's say he beats Andy Ruiz Jr., then maybe he could try to fight for one of his belts. I just feel like Dillian Whyte has more of a chance on fighting Anthony Joshua than fighting someone like Deontay Wilder if Anthony Joshua were to become a champion again at heavyweight, because he's with Matchroom, and Eddie Hearn had offered him a fight with Anthony Joshua earlier this year, so maybe he will offer him again. I just feel that if he continues to pursue Deontay Wilder, I understand he's very confident to try beating Deontay Wilder, but I feel like he's gonna just have to keep waiting and waiting, because the WBC is not like forcing Deontay Wilder to fight Dillian Whyte. That's the thing. They're not forcing him, right? They're not like saying, "Listen, we're gonna strip you if you don't fight this guy, so you have to fight him." They're just letting him have these voluntary, just having these voluntary rematches with Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz is not the mandatory for Deontay Wilder's WBC belt. He's not the mandatory. Deontay Wilder is voluntarily defending his belt against him. Tyson Fury is not the mandatory for Deontay Wilder's WBC belt, but he's voluntarily defending his belt against him. Dominic Breazeale was the mandatory, right? But that's different. He was forced to face Dominic Breazeale. But when it comes to Tyson Fury rematch and Luis Ortiz rematch, he's not necessarily forced. He's not necessarily forced to rematch these guys. He's not forced to fight them because they're not his mandatories. But like I said, he's just voluntarily defending his belts against him. But like I said, the only way Dillian Whyte would be able to fight Deontay Wilder immediately is if the WBC actually ordered it. If they actually said, no, Deontay Wilder has to fight Dillian Whyte. If not, we strip him. And obviously, I would imagine Deontay Wilder doesn't want to be stripped from his WBC belt. So he would fight Dillian Whyte to keep it, or to try and defend it from him. So that's the thing. He's going to have to wait another year. And I agree with this. I made a video a long time ago saying Dillian Whyte is not going to fight for a championship belt this year. And I knew it because, like I said, they're letting Deontay Wilder have these voluntaries. The WBC have to force Deontay Wilder to face Dillian Whyte in order for Dillian Whyte to finally get a shot at a championship belt. And they have to make Deontay Wilder, they have to tell him, listen, you have to fight him or we're going to strip you. But it just seems like they let Deontay Wilder have these voluntaries over and over again. And that's why, if you notice, Deontay Wilder really never defends his belts against mandatories. And when he does, it's like once every few years because they don't force him. The WBC doesn't force him to do it, to defend his belt against a mandatory. And that's why, if you notice, a lot of Deontay Wilder's title defenses are against just voluntaries, are against guys that he just picks and chooses. As long as they're in the top 15 of the WBC rankings, he'll pick them and he'll defend his belts. But rarely do you see Deontay Wilder defend his belts against like a guy who's mandatory for him. So yeah, like I say, all this depends on the WBC. They have to force Deontay Wilder to fight Dillian Whyte, and it sucks because they just seem to not really care that Dillian Whyte, worked his way up. A lot of people say he should fight Luis Ortiz. But who did Luis Ortiz face to get a shot at Deontay Wilder? Luis Ortiz never fought a mandatory. Who did he face? He was fighting a bunch of random dudes like Dave Allen and fucking who else did he fight? I already forgot, but he was fighting some random dudes, no elite level dudes. People keep saying no, he needs to fight Luis Ortiz as if Luis Ortiz beat some elite level heavyweight if you fight him, that you need to fight him to beat him. But whatever, that's people's opinions. If you feel he needs to fight Luis Ortiz and then get his shot, then that's your opinion. But I personally just think that he has fought better quality opposition than someone like like Luis Ortiz, and he should just be able to fight Deontay Wilder. So all eyes are basically on the WBC. Suleiman, whatever his name is. The Suleiman dude who seems to not care about making Dillian Whyte the manager for Deontay, whatever. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you watched the video for such a finish, I really appreciate that. And there's a link to a donation button to PayPal. So if you do decide to donate, I really do appreciate it, man. You guys don't even know. Anyway, guys, I say subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'm out. Peace.